Hey John, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Roland?
I'm doing well. I've been waiting for this to happen for a long, long time, and so finally here it
Yeah.
is. For my friends that watch A Walk in the Garden, let me introduce John Comstock to you. John is a great friend of mine. We've been friends now for 3 years, a little over 3 years, right? We met about 3 years
Yeah.
ago, and immediately our hearts clicked, right? It was just one of those situations where we realized we saw the world in the same way, and we enjoyed talking together, and it quite rarely, not uniquely, I'm sure, but rarely, a friendship across many thousands of miles developed very, very quickly, and so thanks for taking the time to chat with me, John.
Yeah. No, it's been good. It's been a good 3 years.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed every minute of it, and you're definitely a real friend and true friend at a very deep level.
thanks, John.
So appreciate you.
One and likewise. I mean, the reality is the whole walk in the garden came out of a conversation that you and I had. It very much a walk in the garden reflects the conversation that we've had for 3 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we just kind of started doing weekly video chats for a long time, a
Well,
long time, and
if we're prepared to confess a bromance, it was daily, John. It was daily.
yeah, it was pretty often, wasn't it?
It
Yeah, and,
was.
and it still could, it still would be if our schedules would allow.
That's right,
I think I'd
exactly.
be willing to do it.
And that's been the issue. Our schedules have kind of taken over. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know if you had a chance to watch my very first uh, walk in the garden video that I did, but in that video, I actually say there's a friend that I'm going to introduce that will become a part of the conversation. Well, you're that friend, and finally we get to the space. I've had other friends that come along, and since starting, I've had the chance to work with Chang, who's just an incredible young man with a brilliant musical career that's helped write the song that starts, well, not help, he wrote the song that starts
Mm.
A Walk in the Garden now. But the friend that I wanted to do the walk in the garden with is you, mate, because we just find it really easy to talk together.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree completely.
Yeah.
I love, and you've been a mentor, by the way, to me, and I've learned a lot from you, and I'm indebted to you for that. You helped shift a lot of the way I think and see the world, and
Well,
and that's
thanks.
been through a relational process.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate you saying that. I have just felt like in the whole. I've never set out to lead you anywhere. I've just always felt like we've walked, and dare I say it in the bromance language, hand in hand through these 3 years. We're both married to wonderful women, but and have wonderful families. So let's get that clear. But we do have a really good friendship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I'm married and have 3 kids, and enjoy every minute of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so romance is probably a way to describe it for sure. So
um, uh, Two things quickly. The idea of the walk in the garden came as a result of me doing some work in the garden one day and then thinking about the processes that we always talk about. And then either the day later or the next day, I said to you, hey, what if we were able to have an ongoing conversation that was like a walk in the garden? So that's where that came from.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's the way that happened. And the other thing was that let's just get down to the syntax of it. Um, the most important issue that I see in A Walk in the Garden is communicating this idea that love and worth are two sides of the same coin. And you said something to me recently that really caught my attention because I think it's spot on, but it takes a little while to settle into somebody's heart before they start realizing, oh yeah, that's true. So it was about this idea of love and worth and identity. So do you want to tell me what that was?
Are you talking about the statement about where we ground our identity and worth? And
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, it's just been a reality in my own life for internal reflection, I
Mm-hmm.
think, is where it really was born out of. In part, just wrestling with love and worth. Because, you can't really wrestle with that without having to look inward
Right.
and then look outward, right? So it's where is it in my life that I ground my own identity and worth? And what does that then look like in my life? And I've just kind of come to the conclusion that whatever it is that we ground our identity and worth in becomes our God.
Right.
And whatever is our God is what we'll worship.
Yep.
And whatever we worship is what we will become.
Yep.
And that right there,
Wow.
for me, as I view the world, is how I try to look at relationships and people, and to say, when I'm looking at behaviors or people, or observing relationships, where is the identity and worth of the other person maybe grounded?
Right.
That will help me know maybe where some woundedness is in that space. Because if that identity and worth is grounded in non-relational spaces, for sure there's going to be a lot of dysfunction in that. It's almost impossible to ground your identity and worth in an institution or in things like money or success or your work, which is really not a relational thing. It's an idea in your head about what that shapes you into. If you're in that space, it's going to create pain points in your life. It just will.
Yeah,
it's like the law of gravity.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's really powerful, because of the link from the space that I have placed my identity and worth all the way through to the person that I am becoming. And there's a very clear connection. And the idea of God that you put in there isn't a representation of some kind of a faith construct of God. You're talking about something that tells us who we are and motivates us forward. That actually consumes the direction of our life. And so, a lot of us will say, this is important to me, or that's important to me, or this construct is important to me. But what actually is important to me is that thing that I've grounded my identity and worth in, right? And if that gets challenged in one way or another, that's where our distress comes from, right?
Yeah, I think so, because the truth is, I think we can examine what our identity and worth is really grounded in by looking at what it is that we're always willing to defend at all costs.
Right.
Even if that is at a cost of people that I say I love, whatever it is I'm willing to defend and I'm willing to go to the hill and die on for, is probably a place where my identity and worth is pretty attached to.
Right.
And so I have to fight for it at all costs, or I lose myself.
Yeah.
If I lose it, I lose myself.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's well said. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. That's excellent. So this idea of the things that I'm defending, being my place that I put my identity and worth. So lots of times, most people in that space think those things are objectively true, right? So the reason I'm defending it is because it's objectively true, and I'm defending it against a person that's challenging its objective truthness. But that's not the case. I'm defending it because it's telling me who I am. And if it wasn't telling me who I am, then I wouldn't care so much. And coming to a place in our lives where we're able to just let go of that and recognize that our worth and our identity can't be found in any of those places. It has to be found in the reality of love, right?
Yeah. And love is always relational.
Yep.
And that's why it gets really risky for us. It becomes a precarious place when we find that identity and worth in non-relational ways. And it is about a truth, but it's about the truth of my being.
Right.
So
right.
when like what you're saying is very so right on. When we say it's about this objective truth, it's this thing we've created out here to then mirror who I am. So we find our internal truth about who I am in that idea or that construct.
Right.
It doesn't mean objective truth can't exist.
Right.
But
right.
If what we're constructing is really just a place to have something to mirror back to me and say, this is who I am, this is the truth of my being, and that is a non-relational space that I'm creating, and it really can get messed up quick.
You are right, John.
And that's true in my own life, right? I'm not, I'm saying that throughout my own life, it's very true. And that's why I can say I know it's painful, because I've experienced it when it happens.
Right. And maybe at different points we'll both get the chance to share some of the more personal parts of that process, because I think it's revealing and it's important to be open about it. John, thanks, mate, for taking these few minutes to share this foundation. Let's do it again, shall we? Are you up for it? Yeah, well,
appreciate you, man.
Take my hand.
All right, appreciate you, Roland.
Thanks, John.
Goodbye.
We'll chat again in the future. See you, mate.